Welcome to episode 23 of the BDE Sports Talk podcast. We're 23 episodes in.
Soft
Right.
tones.
If you're out there.
Comment, please. Hit the like button.
Hey,
Subscribe.
you know, I did get a text from my buddy Shuff who quoted you, Bill. It was just the quote from our show. If you want advice from three slightly overweight Asians, is all he quoted me and sent that to me in a text. So, Shuff, if you heard this, hey, thanks for shooting us a text, man. I mean, make that a comment next time, buddy. If you can.
Yeah, that'd be great. We did get a comment on the Pick'em episode.
Yeah, Phil.
Nice. Yeah,
Phil don't want this smoke, bro. I'll tell you that right now. He thinks he's got something going. Phil, where, bro?
Meet me at the 50.
Meet me at the 50. We've gone from an Eastern Michigan captain to an equally legit Phil Ware in an Oklahoma. Thanks for commenting, Phil. Appreciate that.
We appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. So, like, comment, subscribe. We're 23 episodes and I think we got a total of 10 comments.
Yeah, all right.
We appreciate every one of them. Oh, speaking of which, I saw our number one fan this weekend, Zach Rathbun.
Oh, you did.
Yep. We went to the Cracker Barrel.
Did he have you sign his chest?
He's massive.
Yeah, he's big. Yeah.
He's jacked. I mean, obviously, if you watch his TikToks, then you'll see that.
I can take my
I do
ass
more
off.
than watch. I do more than watch.
Yeah, it ain't just casual viewing. I'll tell you that
I didn't. He came in to give me a hug, and I feel like he was suffocating me. He's so strong, but oddly comforting.
You're like, I felt safe for the first time ever.
Stay with me,
you made sure
please.
your wife didn't hug him. You're like, no, you don't need this. You don't need this.
He'll hug me just as hard for the both of us.
Can I hug your leg real quick? Those things are massive. No, yeah, it was good to see him. I kind of gave him crap for not commenting on our episodes. So
He does get in there, and I'm pretty sure he's liked most TikToks too. So he's in there.
He's all in it.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
Yeah,
what did you guys do this weekend? Nothing. Okay.
What'd you do, Debo?
I
saw a lady.
I did go on a date this weekend, yeah, and
That's a lie.
The date went well, but the afterwards wasn't as great. So that's kind of done with at this point.
What happened?
I can't really get into. We just don't think the same.
Views.
If it's done, who cares?
We don't think the same. Let's go with that. Yeah, it was
Difference
a whole
of
thing.
opinion.
Difference of opinion, yes. I don't know who's gonna view this.
Who cares if she views it? Oh wait, well you're making a stance on a view. Like, dang,
Yeah.
dude.
Difference of opinions, but
If you had to summarize it in 3 words,
in I couldn't summarize.
don't like anal. We got a difference of opinion on that, bad
We
boy.
had a big difference of opinion.
This episode is explicit on Spotify already.
Yeah, that'll be in the BDE Sports Talk podcast after dark episodes.
We're about to just switch it to BDE Talks podcast.
There you go. Hey,
Sure, people.
if anybody wants to hear that, say that then. If you don't
Yeah.
want us to talk sports anymore, you just want us to talk about whatever, we can do that too.
Yeah.
We could highlight some sports.
It'd probably be more interesting.
Take it easy. What do you mean?
Whoa, guy.
You trying to
Saying
turn
we're
people
not
off from what
interesting?
we got going on right now?
We got people quoting our
That's
podcast.
not an exactly positive plug on what we're doing at this second. It'll be more interesting if you wait until we do a different show.
Well, I mean, our demographic's pretty small, considering. I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Dude, we're just 3 dudes in Michigan doing a very local situation. It takes time.
Extremely local.
It
Takes
takes
time.
time.
Takes time.
Yeah. Next
Share
season,
it. Please
maybe-
share it. That's how it gets out. People share it.
Maybe we'll start doing I-8 conference games. High school.
Marshall's out of the I-8, I think.
Really?
I don't know. Who knows?
Jeez, how many different conferences are we gonna get in?
I didn't do I did the games. I thought about going in, watching the games this weekend. I thought about going to maybe like a darkness retreat with some ayahuasca. I mean, until the Red Wings played, I had nothing to be exactly excited for. I do, so I did nothing else other than went to soccer, cheer, that kind of stuff.
That's starting
But
to wrap
I do
up,
want to
right?
talk about. Soccer's got 1 game left. John made another 6 save where he like dove and knocked it away with one hand. Like, it was
that
cool,
kid's
dude.
an athlete.
He is, dude. I'm telling you, and then yesterday, every time we're outside, he'll pull the football out and be like, let's, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I love playing catch anyway. And then that he's like 7 and is just into it. Like, he wants to know what route, he's not hitting perfect routes. I got to tell you,
He's like,
I want him to do like 7 yards and he's doing like a rounded 7. I'm like, try and cut it further in. Cause like now it's getting to the point where like he's catching these balls on the run and it's no issue. It's no problem for the guy. Okay. Like
how do you think he'll do when he has to go across the middle? Because if he's going to be a white receiver, he's going across the middle.
There's no question that kid's going to have to go across the middle. Because he's probably not going to get that tall either. So if he wants to make it, he's going to have to go that route. Honestly, I don't know. Because I mean, you see Aiden, he's 14, dude. The kid's taller than me.
Yeah.
And the doctor says he's going to be 6'2". So it's like, who knows? John, I don't know. We'll see with John. The kid just naturally likes to play sports, which is amazing, obviously. Because like, I'll go out there, I'd just be able to throw the ball. Like, and I'm throwing it fairly normal. Like, I'm not having to like lay up on it, and I'm not chucking it either. But just like a normal catch situation. He'll like run like 20 yards and I'll throw it and he'll catch it in stride and just keep running like he's scoring a touch. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. And we'll see what happens. And I guess he tells me kids at school, like they play football at recess, the kids call him the GOAT. All right.
Nice.
All right. Like, cause he's also got a good arm. So they usually have him play quarterback too.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, he's like almost 4 years old. The kid's amazing.
He's 7.
He's a prodigy.
He's so excited to play football next year. Like, he just cannot wait until that starts up. And it's kind of crazy because now I'm like, but dude, you're also like a really good goalie. Like, it's one of those things. And it's like, now training him since he was like 2-3 years old is starting to come together. Because my whole thing since they were like that age was like, just keep your eye, like that's the whole thing I've preached the whole time. Keep your eyes on the ball the whole way. That's all I've ever really told them to do. Keep your eye. I mean, how big is that? I mean, honestly, as people now you've grown up, you've played and all that stuff. Just keeping your eyes on the ball the whole time until it's in your hands at least. makes such a big difference. I think that's why he's a good goalie for his age, because he's just watching the ball and he's going for it. And that's why he can catch the ball where a lot of the kids can't catch it the way he catches it. He's just used to like, I have to like, and he knows that. I'm like, what's the one thing? And he's just like, yeah, I got to keep my eyes on it. Like, and that's it. And then I make him run 5 miles.
No, run a route for 5 miles.
Yes, run that route for the next 5 miles.
Run a go.
You
Now
drop
go.
the ball, you run a mile.
Yeah,
You run a mile.
but yeah, I don't know. That's I don't that was it for the games. Yeah, he's got 1 week left. They say Caitlin might have another cheer game. They said there's playoffs for these 3rd and 4th graders now potentially. So
What?
I guess we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got any messages, so I don't know. Whatever. But the one thing I want to say is like towards the end of this episode, because we're going to be bringing up MSU U of M, is I do want to talk a little bit about at the end about some more validity and just what I've heard in Lansing about the Urban Meyer situation potentially in Michigan State. But yeah.
How do we go from Caitlin to Urban Meyer?
Well, they both like to party, Bill. And, it was an easy segue, my man. Urban's a little more hardcore. Caitlin's more into like dollhouses and stuff, you know. But Urban likes to party.
Yeah, I did not do much this weekend.
What did you watch this weekend?
Me?
Was there a big game that you watched?
I watched Lions Ravens.
Yeah.
I watched CMU Ball State.
Big game.
Caught some Red Wings.
Hey. Now we're talking.
Yeah. But let's start with the Lions. Let's get into the Lions. By now, we all know that they got beat pretty badly on Sunday, 38-6. Run through some stats real quick. Jared Goff was 33 of 53 for 284 and 1 interception. Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 carries, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. Amon-Ra had 13 receptions for 102 yards. Lamar Jackson was 21 for 27, 357, and 3 touchdowns. Gus Edwards had 14 carries, 64 yards. Lamar only had 9 carries for 36 yards and that touchdown at the beginning, I believe it was.
Something like that.
Mark Andrews had 4 receptions, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty much, I had it as a loss. Beginning of the year. That was one of my losses.
For sure.
Was Baltimore.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to it now where if something good happens, the fans have now joined being a Lions fan, get all excited, and no one can stop us. Goff for MVP, which I mean, he didn't look great, but I mean, we've talked about it. You know, everyone's going to have a bad game. I've seen people put up stats like teams that have won Super Bowls, like they got beat pretty bad in 1 week. You know,
Saw that.
I've also
like that.
I saw it too. I wrote it
I've
down,
also
so.
I've gotten used to, as I was saying, fans, when things go well, it's here we go, we're the best team ever, watch out NFL. And I've now gotten used to this happens and it's we need to do this. Brad Holmes needs to do this. Can Dan Campbell really coach? You know, those types of things. And and it like I've said before, I don't give it energy. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to see. But you know, Eddie, you brought it up a few weeks ago. that we're going to get these types of fans now, right? And we've always had those types of fans. I mean, there's always been, and there always will be, they're the same old Lions, or whatever the
we've
case
seen
may
it.
be.
Tigers 06, Pistons
Yeah.
04.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you're
So
hot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
all I'm saying is, to whoever watches this, whether it be nobody or a ton of Lions fans, it's 1 week. 1 week. Things happen. Like I said, I had them as a loss. I did not expect them to go. They play 17 games now, so 16-1, 15-2. The fact, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that we would be 5-2 by this point, I think I actually had that. Only it was, I think they had lost to the Chiefs, is what I had.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I mean, even then, those were big expectations for me. My more realistic probably would have been 4-3, right around there. So for them to be 5-2 going into this next Monday night, I'm good with it. Things happen. You run into it. You run into a team that's well prepared. I try not to give it energy. It's frustrating. I've been really not looking at my social media lately. But to anyone who watches this, from my perspective, pump the brakes. It'll be okay. Now, if they start getting beat, next couple weeks they play the Raiders, and I can't remember who they play next, but then I guess you can start
than
talking.
the Bears.
Okay, thank you. Like someone, I'm
think.
not going to name names. They're like, oh, here we go, exposing the cracks. Everyone, da, 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 da. And I'm like, dude, tone it down. It's not like Baltimore's a terrible team.
They're 5-2 also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're
that's
a good
just my
freaking team with an
Yeah.
MVP quarterback.
Yeah.
Who looked
Playing
every
that-
bit of it on
That
Sunday.
we all
Yeah.
thought, well, not we all, but a lot of people were like, hey, if we can trade for Lamar, the dude's awesome.
Nobody
Yeah.
saw that game coming out of him this week,
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
I mean, yeah.
So yeah, no, that's just my little thoughts on everything. Just pump the brakes. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. So I'll leave it up to you guys and let me know what your thoughts were.
Okay. Yeah, going off of what you were saying, Bill, with them saying like good teams have gotten beat. One of the stats that stood out to me in that little meme or quote was that Patricia's Lions beat the Patriots on national TV, and then the Pats won the Super Bowl that year. So it's like it happens, It's not.
Oh,
that
I
big
can
of a
remember
deal.
that game like yesterday too. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
how good are we right now?
Right. Or like when they played the Chiefs and they had a really good game. It was like, oh, here we go. And then I forgot what they went that season. But that type of stuff happens, like you were saying, Bill. And you can't look too much into it. I mean, it does suck to watch, especially after they've been, tearing it up the last few weeks, to see them get halted like that. But I also think it's a good thing, in a way, because it gives you a big slice of humble pie. You know what I mean? I think those guys were going into the game, I mean, they're feeling good, clearly. You know what I mean? How could you not? You're 5-1. You're on a streak. You guys have been playing lights out. You're going to be a little up there. So I think being humbled a little bit is probably not the worst thing in the world, especially week 7. But other than that, it was a pretty tough game to watch. It felt like the linebackers they didn't know what they were doing out there. They didn't know whether to run in to stop Lamar or to stay back and stop the pass. The corners, every time they play up, they're throwing it over top because now they're trying to stop Lamar as well, because it looks like he's running. I mean, they're designed pass plays for Lamar where, I mean, they had him fooled the entire. But how could you not? I mean, it's Lamar Jackson. You have to play up. If you think he's going to run, you have to. But
I mean, dude, it was a Harbaugh coach team. You know they scouted the signals.
it's true. This is true.
What can you say?
It did get to a point. I thought Jack Campbell didn't play the best. I thought it kind of got to a point where I thought he probably should have come out of the game. I don't know who you would have really had replace him, but I think he kind of needed a little break for a minute because he was getting beat pretty bad out there. And yeah, and then as you were talking about Bill Goff, I mean, I don't know if it was the wind but he didn't throw he completed 33 passes, but every ball looked awful. Like no spirals. They were just all dead ducks. And then these guys are dropping passes, and I'm like, man, they're dropping them. Then you look at the replay and you're like, well, when the ball's spinning like this, you know what I mean? How can you really, while you're getting tackled by a guy really trying for you not to catch the ball, So I don't know. That was tough to see. But Gibbs played well. I thought Gibbs, St. Brown, and Laporte all played pretty well for the most part.
So, real quick, Ed, before you get into how many games have they played outside? They played at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
They played in Baltimore, in Kansas City. Okay. Which, I mean, I guess Seattle's all 3 outdoor games.
Baltimore, Lambeau. Where else? Kansas.
But
Kansas City.
I think that's
so 3 out of half, and we've had 3 home games. Seattle.
Well, they're 5-2.
5-2.
So I think they played
Kansas City, Seattle, Atlanta, which was home also.
Yep.
Which that would have been in a dome at Atlanta anyway.
Kansas City,
Tampa Bay,
Tampa, which is outside also.
But
that's more it's Florida.
Yeah. You're pretty much inside.
I mean,
you're saying there's no wind in Florida? You ever heard of a hurricane, bro? You get those up here in Michigan?
I mean, I was just trying to find a correlation between Goff and playing in elements.
Hurricane Hutch.
Because, I mean, Lamar Jackson played well in the wind.
He did, dude.
And his balls looked great.
Look like it affected him at all.
Yeah, it didn't look like it. But he plays in that every,
Yeah, but
it could affect Goff. I mean, I just don't think Goff has the zip on the ball that Lamar has on it.
Right.
I don't know if that's an unfair state, but I mean, from what I saw on Sunday, that seemed obvious.
I mean, I feel like he's got more velocity as he's gone with the Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, when you compare it to the first week of his first game in Detroit, it did not look good. He looked like Bert Emanuel. I mean, really,
I don't even know if his velocity has improved. It probably has a little. Maybe Mark Brunell has something to do with that, but I also think it's at least a confidence thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say as much as anything, it's a confidence thing because he always had the arm. There's a reason he went number 1.
It's true.
He showed out at Cal and at his pro day, and like the dude's got a cannon. He put zip on it.
I wouldn't say cannon,
but I think well, that's what he showed coming out of college.
I mean, we've seen him 3 years now.
We have. And he can throw a good 40-yard bomb.
I mean,
true. I mean,
he's good enough to be in the NFL, I guess.
Yeah. No. He can. I mean, he can throw at the distance, but it's just a matter of
it's a confidence thing. I always have felt like it's a confidence thing for him.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
That's why he's not a big deep ball guy. I think he sees a little bit like that safety somewhere out there, and he's just afraid to chuck it. And who does he have other than J-Mo to where you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna throw it up. Like, it's not like he has Megatron. Be like, I'm just gonna chuck it up there, and that dude's gonna pull it down.
He's got Josh Reynolds, bro.
Hey, that dude's
that's not what
tearing it up.
Josh Reynolds has been tearing it up, but Josh Reynolds isn't, catching it 35 yards down the sideline in stride over his shoulder.
What about
Josh Reynolds is doing
baby?
12-yard posts. And that's great.
Yeah, it works.
But
I guess I'm looking at it as like even the wide open throws where it was to Laporta, the touchdown to Laporta, the touchdown to JMO, which I mean can be easily underthrown, but I think the ball to Laporta was underthrown.
A little bit.
I mean that's I
He
just
just
look
plays
at
it
that.
safe. I think it's a confidence thing. I think he just plays it safe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of Agent Zero. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, you saw he left the team.
Marvin?
Oh, he's gone?
For a while, yeah.
I know he got hurt.
No, it's a personal family matter.
Oh.
So
no. It's
I
beneficial for everybody. He can spend time with his family and we can spend time without him. It all works out.
I mean, that may be I mean it doesn't
it's hard to know. Right? It's hard to know.
Yeah.
What the but it could be the excuse. He just isn't, at least from what we got going on, he's not a pro receiver anymore. Maybe in somebody else's situation. I don't know.
But where they need him to play, he's not doing it.
It's just not happening.
It's too bad too, because we saw some good years out of old Marvin Jones.
No doubt. Love Marvin Jones. I never saw him complain. Seemed like a good dude. Tried real hard. Just came back now. Just a little past.
A year too late, Yeah. So he was pretty solid in Jacksonville, last year.
Yeah.
Would help.
I don't know. Looking at the game, dude, it was either like a terrible defensive game on the defensive side. It was a terrible defensive game plan, or we legitimately needed to trade for like a corner or an edge. I mean, you can't play like a weak ass zone with no pressure
the
whole game. Yeah. And expect to do anything. And I honestly, that was the same thought I had during like the State U of M game. You can't play a weak zone with no pressure. Like that's like playing it safe, but you can't play it safe if you're tied or losing. That just means you're playing to lose. And I think AG got so worked up in his like Lamar's going to run this, run that. It's like, dude, if you don't bring pressure, the Lamar runs because there's any pressure. Like that's what makes him take off. Then he has to try and improvise. Make him try to do that. Or at least I understand what they're thinking, like make him beat you with his arm, but he's beating you with his arm. So now you have to bring the pressure.
Yeah.
And that just never happened. Like you can't rush 4 if the 4 aren't getting in. And it's worked for us. It was like that Ndamukong Suh first or second year. We could rush 4 and we would get pressure all the time. That was been working for us so far this year. We've been rushing 4, maybe bring a linebacker or a nickel or a safety, whoever, and we get pressure on the quarterback. But Baltimore was ready for that. And we didn't get any pressure. I mean, you saw it. I mean, when Lamar had to improvise out of the pocket, it was already after like 3-4 seconds. Like he was like looking around, nothing was happening. And so like he was almost, some of the plays were just like backyard football plays, man. I mean, you move out, the guys find an open spot, he chucks it to them, and they're wide open because these guys are still playing in a zone. And they just find themselves into an open part of the zone. So I don't know if it was a bad plan or we just need to get another person who can rush the QB or need another corner that can cover. If Jerry Jacobs is out, we can't be. I mean, appreciate Harris. He can't be. If Jacobs is going to be down for a while, he can't be the guy for a long period of time. He honestly, he's rough even as our full-time nickel guy. Like that's he can come in and spell people, but it's not we can't count on him on a regular.
Yeah, he's more of like a dime
he's a
set
pro
corner.
Right. Yes, he's a pro, man, and he gets in there and does what his thing. But it's like, dude, we can't trust him to cover their third receiver, their second receiver,
right,
on every play. Of when that other offense is going to get 60 to 70 snaps. But I mean, so I guess we'll see. Jared Goff, we were talking MVP last week. I mean, he did not have a good game. He had a 15 QBR. The nickname you don't like came up, Jittery Jared. Anytime he feels pressure, he's not doing well. And in advanced analytics, there were 25 pressure events. Not exactly what they consider straight up pressures, but 25 pressure events, whatever that means, and 5 sacks. I mean, once he gets touched, dude, he struggles, and it's just, it is what it is, man. I mean, he's got to be protected. Ironically, our top 2 PFF people on offense was Decker and Sewell. Decker at 84.6, which is by far the best, and second was Sewell at 71.9. At the bottom, JMO, which I keep hearing bust stuff again. He had a very rough game. And then Vaitai. Vaitai was actually right next to him. Defense, it's kind of funny, Dean, you brought that up because Derek Barnes was at the bottom, followed by Jack Campbell. Derek Barnes was 28.6.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's real bad. Jack Campbell was 36.5. And I'm not surprised. We all saw it, dude. It's like you couldn't hide how bad Jack Campbell was out there.
It was pretty,
Or Derek
Same
Barnes.
with Barnes. I was going to say same with Barnes too, yeah.
And you're right. What do you do?
Yeah.
You got Rodrigo out there playing fullback and linebacker. And then you bring in Jalen Reeves-Maben. Dude, at that point, you might as well bring in Jalen Reeves-Maben. And Anzalone was actually our second highest rated defensive guy on PFF. But at the same time, dude, our highest rated player was Aleem McNeil, and that was 69.7. That's below what they rate as starter level.
Right.
Our top guy was 69.7, and then Anzalone at 69.1. So I don't know, dude. They got to get flip it around. Mindset's got to change. It's one game.
It's one game.
Well, and
if they
go ahead.
No, it's all right. I'm gonna take a quick break.
I was just gonna say, if as far as PFF grades go, yes, they looked bad, especially the linebackers. You can't really excuse Barnes and Campbell.
No.
But you can also attribute that to the scheme.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can only, like Hutch. I don't know where he was PFF wise, but I mean, he wasn't getting pressure. Obviously, we saw that all game.
Right.
But I mean, he was there. You know what? I know that's a weird thing for me to say, but he was there at times. I mean, it wasn't like he wasn't getting in there. I mean, we talked about the holding, we've talked about the holding calls and the lack of holding calls.
I do want to say one thing on that is
that's a good point.
They weren't selling it like they have been, the holding calls. You know what I mean? Like they were getting held and it was obvious, but they weren't like twisting out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it was just, they were just letting them hold them. And it was like, it's tough when a 300-pound man is gripping you by the chest,
how many of those, dude, looked like, just from us being Lions fans, looked like it was right in front of the ref.
Oh, for sure.
How do you not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you're right. I mean, you are right though. He wasn't selling it. I mean, he was getting, like you said, he's getting stood straight up. And it is a 300-pound dude right there. But I mean,
but he's close to 3 bills himself, and he's 6'7", so.
Yeah.
How many would 3 bills weigh?
You don't want to know.
Fair enough. I definitely wouldn't say 3 Eddies, I'll tell you that.
Tell you what, I weigh just as much as Aiden Hutchinson, and I ain't 6'7".
Me too.
Me too.
Wow.
No,
I mean, I might be one on Ra, but that's it.
I guess you could say Hutch could have played better, but again,
He's
that's
getting
also
doubled and chipped, and
how much of that comes into, like I said, scheme.
it's up to the other guys.
If he's not getting help on the other side of the ball, I mean, he can only do so much.
Correct.
Dude, that was the most frustrating defensive game plan I've seen since I watched the, like I said, U of M MSU football game the night before. Very frustrating to watch. AG kept bringing 4 guys, and it wasn't happening. Lamar had so much time, and then worked his way out of the pocket for more time, and obviously completed to a wide open person, because who can cover an NFL receiver for 7 seconds?
Right.
In the
Dude,
zone.
I mean, in a zone, nonetheless. So frustrating to watch. You play it that safe, you're really just playing to lose. If Baltimore sucked and all they had, like, if they, okay, so I think he played it like he would play Chicago. Like,
Right.
Chicago has sucked, so they're really relying on Justin Fields to do something. But their offensive line also isn't as good as Baltimore's. Right. So, like, we'll get some pressure, and then Justin Fields has to do something. He's probably going to mess it up, and we're going to win. But Baltimore's not Chicago.
Right.
You got to change it up.
Got to.
Sad to see.
Next up, the Raiders. Monday night. I've seen comments. Does Max Crosby leave Detroit after the game? As far as like trading for him.
So I got the EMU flag up, bro.
Bring him home.
Yeah, it'll be a bounce back game for him. I'm sure there'll be. I haven't looked at
for
the
Max
line
Crosby.
I'm sure there'll be. No. I
mean,
they're
good game for Max.
Jared Goff will be home inside, nice and cozy.
Protected.
Yeah,
Safe.
I expect him to win. I mean, I always expect him to win now, which is weird to say, but I expect him to win. Running back depth is really becoming an issue quickly.
Jeez,
man,
Ibrahim got one play.
Poor guy.
That guy. Yeah. Get well soon.
Yeah.
Like I said last week, dude, now's the time. Gotta think. Sign Fournette. People have been trying to put Derrick Henry trade. What about Jacobs? Maybe Jacobs and Crosby don't leave Detroit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's tough to say you're going to trade for a top line running back when you drafted a first round running back and you paid a running back, coming in. But
I think
if you're serious about making a run.
Oh, and real quick, going back to Baltimore, how did you feel about what they were doing with? I've seen a lot of Ben Johnson criticism this week too, with not having
didn't perform.
Not having, a lot of people said they didn't understand why you kept running Gibbs between the tackles. And then the one time he goes outside the tackles, he scored untouched touchdown pretty much. I mean, take that for what it was. But again, it goes back to my point for me that it's one game. You ran into a good team. It happens. Learn from it. Get better. But I don't know. I don't know how you felt about.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that at all. I didn't think it was that crazy. I don't think you ran it up the middle that often. I think you have to set up other plays, and that's like Ben Johnson's bread and butter. You're running things to set up other things. Like, obviously, right? That's football 101 too, as far as like creatively thinking about offense. So I think you have to run Jahmyr Gibbs up the middle, and he didn't do bad running up the middle. I saw some 4-yard, 5-yard runs in there. I mean, that's what are you expecting?
Mhm.
So
Right.
I don't know. I didn't even think it was that many carries up the middle either.
Yeah.
So
And
I didn't see that criticism, so it surprises me.
and people have to remember that it's a power back offense. You know, it's a power running offense. This isn't and Jahmyr Gibbs isn't a power back. You know, they plan on using him differently than necessarily
they used
purely
him.
running back. Exactly. And you know, so Montgomery fits perfectly for that role, and that's why when he's gone, you can feel the difference, is because he's a legitimate power back, whereas Jahmyr and Craig Reynolds is just a running back. You know what I mean? He's not. I mean, you could say he's a power back, but it's more just because he runs north and south than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, and Jameer's a scat back, so you know you have to
Skiddly
take
bop.
that into You have to take that into consideration as well.
Skiddly bop, dude. I'm scatting it.
Real quick predictions for Monday night. Dean.
I always forget. I just wanted to say this is a good opportunity for them to show their resiliency, and that last week was just a bad game for them. But I mean, as you said, I think the bias in me I'm always going to pick them to win because that's who I want to win. so I mean, I think they're going to win, especially after seeing the Raiders losing to the Bears with their backup quarterback last week. I don't know, 24-17. Just Lions.
Yeah, man. I hear you. This is a big opportunity for them to bounce back. All I had written down was they're going to win by 10 plus, and if I have to think about a score, I would say at least I would think 24-10. I would think 31-14, somewhere in that range. If they don't, or especially if they lose, then it's time to start being a little worried and hope that they can just reset after the bye week.
That's what I was going to say. If they, I mean, yeah, if they lose, it might be a sign of trouble, but might
For
be. They're
sure.
still an
At
NFL team. The
home,
Raiders are still an NFL team, but
we're a good primetime team, apparently.
yeah. So
I got 38-24.
I like it.
Man, that's a lot of points for the Raiders, bro.
Your basic white girl score is what I threw out.
Well, I mean, until he proves me wrong. Can AG scheme up something to stop somebody?
Garoppolo and whoever his backup are not running the ball. I'll tell you that right now.
That's true. 38-24.
24. That is just so many. You watch, dude. The Raiders are going to put up 30.
It'll be a shootout of a game.
That is crazy, Bill.
It's the NFL, man. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, somebody's got to cover Devontae. So,
well, Harris. Then you might see 24.
well, yeah.
Man,
Maybe we're trading for Jair Alexander this week. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
That would
That guy
be
don't-
sweet.
You don't want to come to Detroit.
Sutton and
No.
Alexander. What do you? Yeah, dude. I would love him in Detroit.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
we would.
I would.
I think he's saying he wouldn't want to come to Detroit. Remember last
I don't
year
see why
when
not.
St. Brown and DJ Chark were doing his
You know what?
celebration
Honestly,
in
I
front
thought
of him?
Alexander's reaction to that was pretty chill.
It was chill. It was
He
really
kind of
chill.
smiled and walked off. Like, all
He's
right.
like, why are you doing my celebration for?
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't he want to be on a contender?
You're not wrong.
He's the kind of guy that I think wants to be on a
But
contender.
do you think being a rival of a team for so long? I mean, I get like Dave Montgomery.
Has he felt that? You think he's
Who?
felt that? He's only been on the Packers a couple of years. Have we really been? Does he really feel like we're the? Well, I mean, maybe because of the last game of last year, right?
The
Okay,
last
that would
two
that
games
would that
last
would,
Two games, yeah.
yeah, but the last game last year was really the one that was like
Still fresh.
that's the one that'll stick to you. Like you lose this year at Lambeau, that sucks. But like, there's still the whole season ahead. That was the last week of the season to get into the playoffs last year.
Hurts.
That really means something.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the one. But I do think I don't know him.
Well,
Maybe he
I was
bleeds
talking to
that
him
green
the
and
other
yellow.
day.
I don't know.
I was talking to him the other day, and he's pretty much
Me and
Really?
Yar, bro. Like this, man.
I asked him to come on the podcast, but he said not during football season.
Yeah, me
Fair
and him were
enough.
at
Fair enough.
we were at Dairy Queen together, and
I bought him.
yeah, I
Blizzard.
bought his Snickers Blizzard.
Let's move on to real quick the Pistons. They begin tomorrow. This records on Tuesday. So by the time you see this,
They've already begun.
They've already begun. You guys got anything for that? I was gonna ask you what you guys. We've talked about it already in other episodes. I just didn't know if you think. I mean, you took a bet, Eddie, for them to finish third in the conference or in the division,
I did.
right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did,
still
man.
believe
I
that?
maybe. I feel less. Honestly, I had, from what I've seen just in the 4 preseason games, I don't feel as promising as it seemed like before, especially with Bojan. He's going to be out for 4 weeks. Monty Morris, the Count of Monte Assisto, he's going to be out for 3 weeks.
Mm.
That doesn't bode well for us. I am curious to see what Asar brings. I like what I saw out of him in preseason. His shooting obviously needs a little help, but his activity on when he's on the floor is like he's all over the place. So you love that, especially out of rookie. Like if you're gonna get something out of a rookie, board, aggressive for boards, steals, blocks, and then if he's taking shots, if they're open, why not?
Wow.
Beef stew is obviously still bothering me.
5
He
threes?
keeps jacking up threes. He might hit 1 a game. All I've seen is him hitting 1 a game. And he's not only taken 1 shot. So that's concerning. Only if they're working in his 5 that you said last week.
Maybe just preseason 5, who knows?
Dude,
it was 2 weeks ago.
I bring it up because it's like a thing now with me and Beef Stew. Or me talking about Beef, not me, and he doesn't give a shit or give a crap about what I say. But I obviously have an opinion on Beef Stew. And he needs to stop shooting all the threes.
That's fair.
Take the 1. You're trailing up court like Rashid used to do. You get that 1 wide open, you pop it, that's fine. But we need you to get those boards, bro. We need you to be down there like boxing out their good players. Like that's really what he's good at. Positioning and making defensive plays. And you're standing out by the arc is not. It's not doing it. And maybe Monty also thinks that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they signed him for a few years, so there must be something they like out of there. It's not. I haven't seen it yet as far as like shooting. I just have not seen it. That's the only thing that concerns me moving forward. The injuries suck. Like Bojan being out for 4 weeks, that's going to hurt unless Joe Harris really steps up. I'm not counting on that at all. Cade's got to step up. He's been shooting pretty poorly, honestly, in preseason. We'll see. I mean, with Bojan out, maybe we'll see Alsar and Ivy and Cade all on the first line. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got 3rd in the division. I guess is what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm also not counting on it. But I feel good about the bet, if that makes any sense at all.
I mean, it's not like you bet on them to win the division. 3rd's reasonable.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm trying to be at least fairly realistic.
I mean, yeah. I've seen predictions of them being the worst team in the NBA again. So
I did see a thing that that with the addition of Asar that they could possibly be a top 12 rebounding team because Asar hasn't gotten any less than 8 rebounds a game in any game he's played so far. Plus Cade returning as a solid rebounder. That's just something I saw. I thought that was interesting.
Rebound our own shots.
So I thought that was interesting. That'd be, I mean, that's a step forward, I guess. So
All right. Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I have them winning like, what did I say earlier this year? I said 40, 50,
50?
45 games. Yeah, 50 games. Yeah, I'm thinking more like 28.
I think the
28
over-under is set somewhere around there, 28 to 30.
is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems realistic.
he'll flirt with 30, I think. He'll flirt with it.
We'll see. I
I,
mean,
I honestly, I would not be surprised at all to see them go 500 this year. Just miss the playoffs.
41 and
If Cade's
41.
healthy, if Cade is healthy all year, that'll make a huge difference. Bojan will come back. If they can start out not like 1-8 ish before Bojan gets back, if they're like 4-4, 7-7, Bojan comes back, I think they can make some kind of run as far as like just being a competitive team. Our division isn't amazing. Cleveland is tough. Milwaukee's really good. After that, you have Chicago and Indiana and us. So it's like there's give and take there. We can beat those. We beat the Thunder, who are like those other teams, I think, twice. So, and they play competitive. So if they get the defense better, I don't see why they couldn't go 500. I really feel fairly good about that third place in the division bet. It's just a matter if those things come together, and I'm counting on Monty being the difference.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Well,
we'll see.
Dean, did you have any other thoughts on that, or
No, just the rebounding thing.
Okay. Let's talk a little Red Wings. Hot start for the Red Wings. Look great. First line looks really good. Let me throw some. I don't know, Eddie, if you have some stats. I have some stats here, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So by now, I mean, if you follow the Red Wings, you know DeBrincat is the leader in the NHL in goals.
What?
I think we've talked about it. Yeah.
When?
Dylan Larkin is second in points.
That is
in the
not
NHL.
true.
Yes, it is.
I know.
I was like, sorry, I'm
I
looking
do
at
follow
this
the
right now.
Wings at all. Yes, like you said.
Plus minus, 3 Red Wings are in the top 5.
Number 1, 2.
Number 1, 3, and 4. 1, 3, and 4. Reimer is second in the league in goals against or goals allowed. Husso is tied for third in wins. Reimer is second in the NHL with a .963 save percentage. Looking good. I like it. You know, it's early, but I mean, they look great. I don't know. I'll have to turn them on here in a minute. They're about to start here, but no,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed watching. I mean, I haven't caught every game, but the games I have watched, it's been fun to watch. It's been, and that's the thing. Like, I've always liked hockey. Always liked hockey. I don't know what, a lot of people say it's boring, but to me, I don't know how you think it's boring. It's always moving, always constant. And
people say it's boring.
Oh yeah. Same with the thing is like the same with the NBA.
You say golf.
I've seen,
like
people say the NBA is boring.
Tough argument for that on TV.
I mean, the end of the game can get pretty boring sometimes when it's just foul after foul. But I mean, it's just action going on most of the time anyway. But no, I've always liked hockey. It's a little easier when the Red Wings are good, But no, they've been fun to watch. And doing this, I've gotten to follow them a lot more too. So, Eddie, take it away.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean,
Wait a second. Wait. I know you got some stuff. Dean, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot.
I'm gonna
Maybe
go
we
back to the bathroom.
We shouldn't save
all
me
right.
for last. Good call. No, I mean, I don't really have much. I just thought I think it's exciting to see them off to this hot start. It reminds me of when we were kids and like the Red Wings were always the talk of the hockey world. You know what I mean? And that's always good to hear because over the last decade, we haven't heard much about anything other than Stevie Y coming over and finally getting this team in his picture, because obviously the Brinket has been a massive upgrade for the team. And excited to see where it goes. I mean, a lot of games, a lot of season. But I saw that clip of them like blocking like and saving like 10 shots. Did you see that clip?
No.
Oh, it was insane. The defense was insane. They literally everybody had blocked at least like 2 shots plus 2 goalie saves. It was awesome. I was like, holy crap! I was like, when was this game? Like, geez. But that was sweet. So I'm just excited to see where it goes, and ready for Red Wings hockey to be great again.
I mean, shades of Dean. You might have been too young for this, but we've talked about it, Eddie. Shades of like the Russian Five, or shades of late 90s, early 2000s Detroit, where that got loud, where they just they move the puck so effortlessly on the offensive end. It's so much fun to watch. And that's the one thing that always stuck out to me when we were kids and I would watch the Red Wings is, we've talked about the power play. And I like the thing that always stuck out to me with those Red Wings teams were the power play and how they just the puck around and could really ever get it out of the zone. And it was just so beautiful to watch.
Dude, it's like
And
the whole power play was played down on the other end.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to see that again, and it's so cool to watch. And I love watching, like, obviously my team, my team, and seeing them just dominate on that end. It's fun to watch.
So extremely.
Oh, dude, it's so cool. I mean, like I was saying last week, I keep telling people to jump on the bandwagon because they are a fun team to watch. I mean, they are. I mean, if you're scoring, that's fun to watch. I mean, that's what people want to see. I'd be fine with a 2-0 game too. But like
Right.
when I tell people like watch, I'm like, yeah, it's because they're scoring and they're scoring at a crazy clip. And it highlights what I was talking about. Can they keep up this scoring through 82 games? Not likely.
Right.
It's pretty.
Right.
They're at 5 goals a game average right now. I think last year the highest was 3.8 something. And that was the Bruins who were scoring, and they were really good. So I think it was the Bruins. I'm not totally sure. But it's talking about the offseason. I mean, it was an okay team that really needed a boost in scoring. Obviously, that has been punctuated by the additions of like DeBrincat, Comfer, Kostin, Beer, Sprong, Petrie, etc. It's been just awesome. I've really enjoyed it. I'm super looking forward to the game. Either I don't know when this comes out. It might be today, the 28th, when this comes out. But they're playing the Bruins, and that'll be for the top of the Atlantic Division this early in the season.
Saturday
So I'm super
night.
excited for that. Yeah, I know it's Saturday. I didn't remember if this is coming out Saturday or Sunday.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited for that game. And dude, just like you said, Hole. I mean, he didn't say his name, but Hole. He's the one leading the league in plus minus at 9, 10 goals to 1 against with his time on the ice. He's chipped in 3 assists. A guy that the Maple Leafs kind of let get away from him
Yeah, no, he actually the games I've watched, he's kind of stuck out to me too.
Mm.
Um, I mean, DeBrinket's gonna stick out regardless. Larkin's gonna stick out
course.
regardless. Lucas
Mhm.
Raymond, to Dean's point too, um, you know, the defense has played really well, which I think obviously has benefited Reimer. um,
Yeah, I should have brought him up because I dogged on him.
yeah,
I've dogged on him a
but
couple
it's the
times.
defense, man. The defense has played very well.
They've stepped up. They've stepped up because originally, and I said episode or two ago, it was mostly seeing Sider and Wallman. That defensive line is a really good young defensive line, and Mo Sider's coming up on a contract, so I'm like, I'm still waiting. I just want to hear that, like, hey, we've re-signed Mo Sider for 5 years and whatever, which hasn't happened. But but Ghost Bear, who's caught a lot of crap, has played pretty good defense. I mean, he's still a defensive scorer, but he's doing both, which is why it's like it's so unlikely for them to keep the clip that they've been going at. But man, dude, it's awesome. It's just like let's keep at least some of that going and get to the playoffs, man. If they're not a playoff team this year, that would be so disappointing because
Right.
they have the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, injuries happen, whatever, but
Injuries do happen.
And it's funny because I mean we're 5 games in, 6 games in.
yeah,
But
that too.
but no, I mean they played good hockey. It got me thinking of how people were calling for Yzerman's head. Not the majority, but a very vocal minority.
well, like you said, we still have 76 games to go.
Yeah, but I mean,
So
the team just looks different.
For sure. It's like with
You
the
can
Lions.
see it coming together,
Yeah. Like, you want to say SOL, like with the Lions. They lost, and you're like, you saw how many times did you see that randomly in social media? Same old Lions, whatever.
Oh, so many times.
The Wings, kind of like the same situation, except different. Like where people were denying Yzerman. They're like, well, we'll see. Like as soon as you see a loss, especially after that first loss to New Jersey, I saw some stuff, and it's like, yeah, dude, the New Jersey's a good team. They don't have the record for that yet, but they're a good team. They finished third in the conference last year. Like that's a good team.
Yeah.
That's an okay team to lose to.
Right.
So whatever.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see, man.
We'll see. We'll be following them all season long.
No doubt.
We're here. 23 in. We're not stopping anytime soon. So. Until the holidays, we'll see.
Catch our NHL Pick'em show. I'm taking the under.
Let's get into a quick college football recap. We have 4 games on here. Did you guys watch Eastern or Western this weekend? Full disclosure, I did not.
I caught some highlights.
I did not.
I've watched all the game fully, start to finish.
Its entirety. 7 TVs.
Eastern lost to Northern Illinois.
I stayed up all night last night.
Eastern lost to Northern Illinois 20-13. In our Pick'em show, I think we all had that happening. Austin Smith 14-26, 151 and 2 interceptions. Samson Evans 19 carries, 68 yards and a touchdown. Rocky Lombardi 21-33 for 173 yards. Gavin Williams was the leading rusher for NIU, 7 carries, 80 yards. So, yeah, I like I said, I didn't catch the game. I've been working quite a bit too, so I didn't really get to check the stats. I mean, I do follow the scores because we do our pick'em show. Um, but I mean, I also, we also have lives outside of Mac football, so uh we had that in our pick'em. We all picked it. We kind of figured that's how it was going to go. Is in fact exactly how I thought it was going to go around that score. Just not Eastern's year, and they have the same problem. Well, not really, not as much anymore, but the same problem as Central, where the quarterback is just not playing well. Um, you feel for the dual meister, but as long as he holds it down, I'm about to start making a highlight tape for him to give to Brad Holmes.
Get him in the
It could be
third,
solid.
Brad.
Be a solid, yeah, third. You know,
Yeah, no, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that game at all.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty hard fought game for Eastern. Ultimately, the 2 picks in the fourth quarter are what set up NIU to win the game. I thought Eastern ran the ball well, but obviously, when it comes down to it, the turnovers in the pass game just were too much to overcome, and then they gave it up. But I did think the right side of the offensive line played amazing.
yeah, I mean, I agree with Dean. It's kind of the same story every week with Eastern. Austin Smith doesn't throw it that well. Samson Evans doesn't run it that well. And they slog to an ugly win or an ugly loss. I mean,
right.
They lost this one in the last minute of the game. A game they could have won. A game they were 12-point underdogs, which I thought was crazy because I thought, like, hey, these guys might win. And they were winning pretty much most of the game. And then they lost at the end. It's tough. It sucks because like Eastern, like Dooley, we just didn't have it. And it's just been a rough year. For what should have been or could have been a really good year for them.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, moving on to Western, lost to Ohio, 20-17. Western is really. I mean, you guys have probably noticed it too. Each week they've kind of gotten better, and I think a lot of that's Hayden Wolf.
No doubt.
I mean, I think he helps things quite a bit. But I mean, we said at the beginning of the year, it's not, first year head coach, transitioning, learning offense, all those things. Hayden Wolf was 30 for 42, 290 with a touchdown interception. CJ Hester, 5 carries, 26 yards rushing. Hayden Wolf was the second leading rusher at 4 carries, 23 yards, and a touchdown. For Ohio, Curtis Rourke was 24 of 39, 275, 1 touchdown. Bangura, I don't know who that is, but he had 15 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown. So Kenneth Womack for Western had 14 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. So good game for him. Like I said, they're getting better every week, which if you're looking at trajectories, one team's going this way, the other team's going this way, and we'll get to that in a minute. Hopefully it meets in the middle with Western and Central when they play each other. And, I mean, Central's not.
Weeks.
Yeah. So, hey, good effort by Western. I'll give it to them. Ohio's a good team. And, yeah, we'll just keep seeing if at this point, obviously, I think he's just going to go with Wolf the rest of the year. So, good call. Good call on his part. So,
yeah. No, I don't really have much else to say other than Western kept it close. I thought Hayden Wolf played well, other than that pick at the end of the first half. But overall, I mean, I think he helped keep them in it. and then they almost came back. So
Yeah.
kudos to them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of that. It's just Hayden Wolf finally got a full start. This is his first start, first quarter, fourth quarter that he's had since he's been at Western, which is kind of sad. And like I said last week, and maybe because they want to get Trayson Bourget, more reps as a freshman and make sure he stays around. I think he's got an older brother that's at a bigger school too, so maybe it's one of those things, where he's like, oh, I could go somewhere else,
Right, yeah.
and probably could. If he went into the transfer portal, somebody would recruit him and take him.
For sure.
That's just the nature of it now. That's really it, man. They got to keep playing. If they're trying to win some more games, they got to keep playing them. They're 2-6. They're probably not making a bowl. Certainly, almost pretty much certainly not making a bowl game
Right
at this point. So maybe they should play Bourget. But you don't want to kill his confidence either. So I'm not sure. Let's see what happens there. It should be an interesting game next week, honestly, because like you said, Western's been ascending. Eastern has just been so up and down. That it's so hard to know what team you're getting. I mean, the one thing for them is that it's in Eastern or at Ipsy, and so they should be favored there. I think the line is pretty close from what I last saw. Yeah. So it'll be a tight game. I think it really will be.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into Michigan State. Michigan 49-0.
Let me do
JJ
CMU real quick.
Oh yeah, let's do CMU. Sorry, CMU Ball
CMU
State. Yeah. CMU Ball State. Central, man, you just don't know what you're ever gonna get from them. I don't get it. They lost to Ball State 24-17 in the game that they should have won. They needed to win. Now it becomes about bowl eligibility, and if they keep playing the way they're playing, I don't know. Jace Bowers 19-31 for a 161 and a touchdown. Marion Lukes 18 carries, 58 yards and a touchdown. Jace Bauer had 10 carries, 23 yards. Tyson Davis 6 catches, 65 yards. Pruitt had 2 catches for 23 yards and a touchdown. Kelly for Ball State was 13 of 16 for 101 yards. Marquez Cooper 26 carries, 162 yards and a touchdown. Kelly, their quarterback, 15 carries, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, like I said, a game that they needed to win, a game that they should have won. No excuse when you're trying to win the MAC, or at least the division. At this point, I think that's a foregone. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, after Toledo's big
happens.
Day.
Yeah. So now looking for bowl eligibility. We'll see what happens, but yeah, a little disappointed. So they play. Are they off this week? Yeah, they're off this week. So they have the bye.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you there, man. I mean, just briefly, you can't go to a team like Ball State, 1-6, a game you're supposed to win and need to win to get to a bowl eligibility and give them any kind of confidence. I mean, Ball State's first drive was a 75-yard drive that ended in a touchdown. You do something like that, dude, and you're given them the opportunity to feel confident and make a run. And I think that's kind of what happened. And, they gave up 1 million yards on the ground to all their guys, and there's nothing you could do. So it was super disappointing. Hard to watch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you too, Ed. I think Ball State took advantage of that slow start. I mean, obviously they were up 17-3 at the beginning of the third quarter, essentially after their first drive in the third quarter. but Ball State ran the ball really well, like you said, and I mean they went 13 to 16 passing, so they were efficient through the air. Whenever they threw it, it was getting completed. So it was tough to see. Did you see Pruitt's catch though for his touchdown?
No.
Did you see the highlight on that? It was pretty sick. That was a da-na-na, da-na-na.
They just don't put it in the top 10 if you lose to Ball State. That's
Yeah,
the only
Ball
thing.
State. But it was a sick catch. It was a really sick catch. So that was the highlight of that. The drop pass at the end really is what really killed it on that final drive for CMU. So.
Let's get into Michigan State, 49-0. JJ was 21 of 27, 287, and 4 touchdowns. Blake Corum had 15 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. AJ Barner and Colson Loveland both combined for 12 catches and 178 yards combined receiving with 3 touchdowns. Katenhauser was 12 of 22, 101 yards and an interception. Nathan Carter, 17 carries, 36 yards. Yeah, no, I mean, it's been the same story with Michigan this year. Just the defense is very, very good. And
it's almost like they know what the other team's going to call.
But they didn't.
That's how good they've been.
They did. But they didn't. They didn't. I saw they were doing the high school route.
Well, against State, it doesn't matter.
I mean, the defense is just good. And I've said that pretty much every game this year. And we'll see what happens when they play Penn State. They got Purdue in a couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, offense looked good. I just,
there's not much.
Really, not much to say. Yeah, there really isn't much to say about it. I mean, it was a dominating performance by Michigan. It's obvious by the score. I'd like to hear what your guys' thoughts are, because I mean, for me, it's been much, like I said, it's been much of the same. It's, Michigan plays its starters till the end of the third quarter, takes them out, defense just plays. So, Dean, do you have any thoughts on your boys?
I mean, for me, it was somewhat of an expected outcome. I mean, Sparty was outmatched in every way. I mean, it was obvious just by watching the game, just seeing players on the field. It was pretty obvious that they were pretty outmatched. It was disgusting for me. Perfect for you, but disgusting for me. But I saw a thing about Harlan Bennett, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said, so Harlan Bennett was asked, I don't know what to take of it, is why I'm asking, or why I'm even bringing it up. But he was asked what if he thinks his team hit the lowest point of the season, and he said it might be. I thought it was last week. So does that mean he's thinking it's just gonna get worse from here? Like, what do you guys think of that comment to that question? Is what I really wanted to.
I mean, I think,
does it sound like he just doesn't care? Like,
I was gonna say, I think this goes back to what Eddie said. I think it's there. He's a figurehead at this point. You know what I mean? I don't know really how else to put it. I think he's just out there to finish the season, but I mean, I don't know how many times I have you ever in our life either way seen either team get shut out? I don't think so.
There's one that's close to that. I wanted to look it up and I just kept forgetting. It was the early 2000s where it was like a lot to a little, but this is the biggest blowout in 100 years.
I was gonna say, I mean, it
It
was
is literally the biggest blowout in 100 years. I've seen that stat.
yeah. eh, I mean, and the thing is, real quick, sorry, Dean.
That was all I
The
had.
guys, it didn't look like they gave up. I just think they were just out coached. I mean, they weren't put in good positions on defense. They weren't, and Michigan's Michigan right now, but I mean, just there wasn't. I I don't think there's that much of a talent gap. I mean, there's a gap, but it's not 49 nothing. I don't think. I think a lot of
No.
that was scheme, and I hope it doesn't get worse for them. I know a lot of Michigan fans would say, "Whoa," but personally, I hope it doesn't get worse. So
You grew up around a bunch of Sparty fans, though, too. So, in fairness to you,
Well,
you have a softer
like,
spot.
I want Michigan State to beat Michigan 28-35-7 every year,
Yeah, that'd be great for us.
but to look fairly competitive.
mhm.
I don't want it to just look like we got up 28-0 and put our backups in. You know what I mean? Like, I want Michigan to be just good enough to like to have some doubt. You know, that's where Michigan is on the converse side, at least for like people like Bill, where it's like he doesn't want it to be close. He just wants it to be competitive, but still Michigan winning,
Yeah.
right? I mean, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
want that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fun to
Yeah.
watch.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, if we can win by 2 touchdowns every year and it's a great game, like that's ideal, right?
yeah.
Right. Well, and frankly, for me, even as a Michigan fan, like, yeah, it was awesome seeing them win in this rivalry 49 to nothing, but it was kind of boring.
Of
Right.
course.
I mean, it was. I mean, it was just I mean, and I don't like that. Like, I like exciting games. I like, I like the,
Well,
that
rivalries
feeling
should be,
of, yeah,
you
I
know.
like that feeling of like you get to the last 3 minutes and like I'm personally, I'd rather have it be 49. But
It feels awesome, and it's awesome to see and be a part of a win that's like something
right.
that happens. You know, like a big moment, a big
Mm.
win.
Mhm.
You know, if you just beat a team 49-0, like, yeah, it's sweet to do it to one of your rivals for sure. Like, obviously, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I would carry that with me. Like, if I had 49-0 on my back, I'd carry that around with me. But at the same time, it's
Right.
also better. Like, trouble with the snap. Like, that's awesome.
Mhm.
That's
It's
a big
memorable.
moment. You know,
Right.
it's just you like to see stuff. You know, I
Right.
mean, because we see lots of games.
Mhm.
Just speaking between us three, I mean, we see tons of football games between
Mhm.
now and our whole lifetime. And how many times have you seen a 3 touchdown win that wasn't anything really worth watching,
Right.
but you watched it anyway?
Right.
We've seen that a lot.
A lot.
So to see something cool in a rivalry where it means something and all that means something, and there's definitely something to it. You know, MSU, yeah, they got what I thought they would get. I'm pretty sure I said that last week, and they got what they deserve to get, at least as far as like the coaching staff and the people in charge go. I mean, they definitely got it. Every time we see Scott, I would see him during the game, and I had to turn it off because I didn't even watch past some time left in the first half because there was
Well,
really no point. You just watch it
well,
and you're like,
you and I mean even Spartan fans that were at the game, like there was video of them. They were just leaving.
well,
They're like, all right, well, this is it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't
watch.
blame
Like,
them.
I was talking about CMU Ball State, right? Like, CMU goes to Ball State. Ball State gets that confidence, that 75-yard touchdown first drive. They had the ball. Like, if MSU has something like that within their first 2 drives, then something's going. There's a confidence to the kids, or I keep calling them kids, but they're all legal adults. There's confidence to like the guys playing, and they're getting paid. So it's like
Yeah.
there's confidence to the guys playing and everything else, and there's something going. It's not just. But when you watch what happens, like if Michigan comes in, they shut them down 2-3 drives in a row, just like with the Lions. You're like, yeah, that's probably it. I mean, that's just it. And it is what it is, man. I mean, Michigan's a better team anyway. And it wasn't a surprise. You know, the only thought was maybe in the first quarter, if Michigan State gives them a little something, keep it close at halftime-ish, then there's something to watch for the second half.
Right.
Even if they get blown out in the second half, you're at least still watching the second half. I want to see a game where I can at least want to watch, keep watching. But if you're down 28, 35 points and you clearly don't look, it's not like by mistake. Like you're just getting manhandled. You're not doing anything. You're playing a terrible like with the line, you're playing a terrible defensive scheme and you're not getting any push on the offensive line. Caton Hauser's getting pressured, it seemed like every pass. The kid's a freshman, for crying out loud. You know, like he's in his second full start against Michigan, probably the best team in the country, and nobody's protecting this. I mean, he's gonna do bad. He's just gonna do bad. I mean, there's nothing else up. They're not keeping anybody in for extra protection. They're not keeping a tight end for extra pressure. They're not running routes that are going to be beneficial to a freshman quarterback in his second start. None of it made sense. And it just all adds up to what we've had going on. You talked about Harlan Barnett saying that stuff. I'm paraphrasing on also what he has said after that. During that press conference after the game, and it just really kind of pissed me off. I think in another way, it also very much validated what I've been saying, and that he said he needs to dial back on what he called his, and I'm paraphrasing again, but this is direct words. He said he needs to dial back on what he calls a compassionate approach. And this is where I'm paraphrasing, because he's like, he really kind of let a lot of guys get away with a lot of stuff over the last 3-4 weeks. People were late to meetings, not showing up to stuff, and there's no repercussion whatsoever. And that's what he's calling compassionate, because they've gone through a lot in the last few weeks. The head coach jerked off on the phone. Okay, like yes, they wanted to play for that dude, but like, no, you're just not a head coach.
Right.
You're not a coach, dude. You're not, like, maybe he can coach a group, I guess. I mean, he wasn't doing that great of a job with the group he had before he became head coach. And obviously he went to Florida State as a defensive coordinator, and they sucked as a defense when he got there. I hate to put it all on him, because I think he just got thrust into it because he was a trusted person. Like, here's a guy that's infallible as far as, like, we're not going to get any personality issues. The people like him, like the kids like him, the other coaches like him. He's a great dude to have around, but he's clearly not a head coach.
Right.
Let alone couldn't even be a defensive coordinator under Jimbo Fisher, who's a defensive coach. Right. You know, like, you couldn't even do that, dude. Like,
right.
I hate dogging on him like that. He's just so whatever, dude. You let that compassionate approach happen. I mean, obviously, dude, like, 18 to 22-year-olds are gonna run all over you.
Right.
And it shows on the field. It goes to what, like, you guys were saying some stuff earlier. Like, that's exactly what we're talking about. There's no accountability. There's no anything. He's just like a dude. He's like the fun uncle who's just around.
Uncle.
Yeah. And now
Yeah,
he's
I
saying he
know
needs
that
to
goes.
dial that back. You're going to dial it back now? What, to maybe hopefully get a win over Indiana? You know? Hoping. Dude, it's stupid.
I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna.
Like, I used to laugh behind people's back that said he was auditioning for the job. Now I'll just laugh to their face. Because, like, come on. Like, clearly.
No shot.
Cider.
the one thing I wanted to bring up, since I'm talking about the coaching.
Ooh, Cider getting frisky.
Cider's a frisky guy.
Sorry. Real time reactions.
Real time, but pastime for folks who are listening.
Yeah, real time pastime.
Real time pastime. You'll have to go back to 8:50 on Tuesday night to know what Bill was talking about. If you want to see the cider situation. Okay, so I just wanted to bring up Urban one more time because the only positive thing we have going is that Urban Meyer has been connected to the Michigan State job. That's really the only positive thing that's going for Michigan State football related. And I've had a hard time buying into it at all. But I had talked to a person who's in like MSU media situation. Okay. And then it got confirmed by somebody that I listened to on a Lansing station today, who I trust, a dude named Bernie Fratto. You might not know him. He's 30 years in sports media. Oh, I don't know if you know him or not. He's a national radio show. So I don't know if you might know him. Like, that's funny, but like, I don't know if you actually have heard of the guy before. He's national on Fox
Sounded
Sports
like
Radio.
you said a fake name.
Yeah.
No, his real name. He caught a lot of crap 3 weeks ago, so I also didn't know if you heard him from that also.
No.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago from exactly today, he had sent out a tweet that said Urban Meyer is in East Lansing talking to Michigan State people, and he caught a lot of crap for that. And that caught steam. That's why I was like, I didn't know that was funny to hear his name because it's been out there just within the last month. And he's also has this, he used to work at 97.1 years ago. He's been on ESPN. He was on ESPN for like 10 years. And he's not what I like about him, huh?
The Burn
What's
Dog?
that?
The Burn
Yeah,
Dog?
Bernie Fratto. ESPN like 1100 out in like Nevada. So not like ESPN Sports Center.
Right.
ESPN radio type of thing. And he's also, what I like about him, he's also not like an MSU slappy. Like his mom was a Michigan graduate. He grew up in Michigan, but went to college in California. So like he has got no like real tie to Michigan State other than he lived in Michigan. And he was a lifelong Michigan fan, because of his mom. So like I trusted a little bit just because of that. But he was saying 3 weeks ago from today, it would be October 3rd, he had tweeted out that Urban Meyer was in East Lansing interviewing with Michigan State. And then I heard him talking about it today, that he had confirmed that with 4 different independent sources within Michigan State's situation, that Urban Meyer was actually in East Lansing that day. I don't know if you call it an interview, but they're talking, right? Because they're not really interviewing him. They're more like, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want to come here? And I don't want to buy too much into it because I still don't actually think Urban Meyer is going to be the coach at Michigan State. But from all the things these people are saying who are connected to people who are connected, it's like he does want another chapter that's written after the Jacksonville fiasco. He does want a big time job. This guy who's not connected to Michigan State was talking about it today, saying, look, people inside Michigan don't really, they're in the bubble. They're like, if you just think about things outside of like the area, like you look at Michigan State, he goes, Michigan State was the 11th most revenued school in football last year. They created the 11th most revenue. Like they have the money to pay these guys. Matt Ishbia has been like the top guy in pursuit of Urban Meyer. Like I would think that first conversation was like Urban Meyer would be like, well, I make $7 million. I'm going to need $14 million plus whatever NIL situation. And Matt Ishbia and Steve St. Andre, who are the 2 billionaire donors at State, might have been like, okay, you got it. And then Urban's got to be like, oh, Okay, well, and I got now I got to think about it. So I'm not gonna say that's just one of those things that I don't believe till I see. I just don't think at the end of the day he actually does it. But the fact that that's not a fire, but there's actually some smoke there and legitimate smoke is promising as far as like just being a Michigan State football fan. Like that's some kind of promising situation because this guy also feels like, I don't know about this, but he said, I feel like Urban at Michigan State is like what Dion brought to Colorado times 5. I'm like, man, times 5? I don't know about that.
We'll see if it happens.
But he's the kind of guy with the resources that can be provided at a school like Michigan State or any in like that top 20-ish situation that can provide the kind of resources to him and what they're trying to see. Like, that's the kind of thing that's like, it's not a rebuild. It's more like a flip, like flipping a house as opposed to building up a whole new one. And we're 2 years removed from a New Year's Six bowl, not that far away from a playoff. Like, it's not like he's starting at South Florida.
Right.
Trying to get it up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, dude. I was surprised to hear all that stuff from a guy like that. Because he's not the kind of guy that's also going to put his reputation on the line for something like that. Like if he says he confirmed it with 4 different independent sources on that day, then I tend to believe it. Because I don't have any. Like I don't have anybody who's in there other than like 1 or 2 people that I know who are connected with like Michigan State media. But that's it. So it's like, I don't know, dude. I don't believe that's it, but I think it's worth bringing up because it's an interesting thing to bring up.
For sure.
Urban Watch now started.
The Urban Watch. But it was confirmed that he was in there and they had a conversation and that they are still actively having conversations. Just a matter of like nobody knows how serious or what that really entails, but they are actually talking about the job.
Good.
If anything, that's good for State to be like, hey, they'd be like, hey, Urban Meyer's interested. Are you interested?
Sure. Right.
Like, hey, guy, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Urban Watch into effect. Highest paid coach in college football.
He's going to have to be if he's going to go to Michigan State.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, because he makes $7 million at Fox, that they would get close to doubling his salary. And I think guys like Matt Ishby and Steve St. Andre would definitely work to make that happen.
So you think if Ryan Day loses to Michigan again, they fire him and then he goes to Ohio State?
Urban back to Ohio State? No. Urban will never be back at Ohio State. He was what's deep down, like he was more pushed out than he left. That's the thing that doesn't come up a lot. Urban Meyer was kind of pushed out, and I think that's part of why he wouldn't mind being back in the Big Ten. I don't think his number one goal would be to like pay back Ohio State, but there was an issue when he left for sure. I think he got moved as opposed to him really wanting to leave. So no, I don't think he goes back to OSU.
Urban Watch.
The Urban Watch is on.
It's like the Swifties watching Chiefs games every Sunday.
Hey, dude, if he was up in the Spartan Stadium press box, that would be amazing.
I'd watch for that.
That's about all we got to watch for.
Yeah.
Because Harlan's going to dial back his compassionate approach here anytime now.
All right.
Thanks, Harlan.
Appreciate you, buddy. All right. With that said, tune in next week for our new game segment, Jeopardy. Actually, we could do one right now. A little bite, a little nibble. This is the 60 easiest clues in Jeopardy history.
60?
The easiest. We're not gonna do all 60.
Oh, I was just like,
It's just
60?
it's off of BuzzFeed. So like one of them was the category was restaurants by slogan, and this one was eat fresh.
Subway.
Oh.
Sir, that's wrong. It's what is Subway?
I thought it was Blimpies.
Yeah, it's Blimpies.
Or
My third set was Quiznos.
or category was complete the proverb, birds of a feather flock.
In weather.
In heat.
So maybe we'll do that next week. Maybe we'll get a little gameage in. That'd be
Are
fun.
you trying to turn people away?
No, I'm trying to people. That's half the reason some people watch.
For that?
It ain't
I
for
don't think
Urbo
so.
watch.
I don't think so. I'm hosting episode 24. Tune in for that. It's a new day.
Yes,
It's
it
a new
is.
dawn, baby. You want a teaser? Tune in for episode 24. Eddie's taking over.
Sports Talk.